Overeaters Anonymous is a fellowship of individuals who, through shared experience, strength, and hope, are recovering from compulsive overeating. We welcome everyone who wants to stop eating compulsively. There are no dues or fees for members. We are self-supporting through our own contributions, neither soliciting nor accepting outside donations. OA is not affiliated with any public or private organization, political movement, ideology, or religious doctrine. We take no position on outside issues. Our primary purpose is to abstain from compulsive eating and compulsive food behaviors, and to carry the message of recovery through the 12 steps of OA to those who still suffer. How our meeting works. At this meeting, we follow a rotating format. On the second week of the month is a recovered OA speaker who will be speaking on the topic of their choosing for 30 minutes. There will be a follow-up Q&A segment for 15 minutes where fellows are welcome to ask any questions of our speaker, which are related to the topic in question. This meeting will be recorded by audio only, and you will see a recording sign at the top of your screen. The Q&A section of our meeting will also be recorded. Please post only in the chat function your question to me, Deb, and we will ask the question anonymously on your behalf. Please do not do this before the Q&A segment opens. Before we share, it is time for our 7th tradition. Although we are meeting electronically, we still have Zoom meeting costs to pay, and we also give contributions to OA UK EB, which is our virtual intergroup. Please make a contribution using the PayPal or bank details that will be entered in the chat now. Newcomers, we ask that you wait to contribute until you are sure you want to be here. Okay, so today is a speaker meeting, and we are honored to have Tali as our speaker. And it's over to you. Oh, so Gail said she couldn't be here, so she's not timing. Do we have someone else who could time?
I was going to do it.
Oh, Kara?
Kara can, perfect. Has to be someone that's already signed release. No worries.
All right. Okay, so Tali, do you want to specify how we want your time?
Every 10 minutes, if that's okay. And then maybe just one, so 10, 10 and a 9, so 1 minute before, yeah. Thank you.
Great, thank you. It's over to you.
Thank you. I'm Tali. I'm a compulsive overeater, living a day at a time in recovery. I'm nervous as hell. And the way I deal with that, I'm going to start by bringing God in, because I have learned one thing, that when I don't do that, it all goes badly. So I'm going to start with the way I start my day, which is with a set-aside prayer or a version of it. God, help me set aside everything I think I need to say here, everything I think I know about myself, how I can be of use to others, and my recovery, so I can hopefully say something that is useful to anyone here, and also to listen for your direction as to what to say. May I do your will always. Amen. I came to OA, I first heard about it about 6 months before I finally stayed. I'm going to start with some photos in case my words come out gobbledygook and I lose everyone. Maybe my photos will grip someone new, although I don't think there is anyone new here. Not that this is a programme of physical recovery only, and I really, really stress that. For me, this was just the entry into the door. It's the only thing that brought me here. It's definitely not what has kept me here and kept me coming back. So I think I was a compulsive eater from really early on. This is me in pink. I had a lot of sass when I was little. I don't think I knew I was overweight. My cousin just to the left of me, the little one, in my mind, we were the same size, which is beautiful and innocent, but we weren't. And this was me on the right, on the next one. By the time I'd got to university, I was pretty big. I think I was wearing a size UK 26 then. I never really knew what my weight was because that was petrifying. somewhere around 150 kilos. But by this time, this was 2011, by my notes, I'd yo-yoed. I'd already got several PhDs and OBEs before I graduated from university in weight loss. I could lose weight quicker than you could do pretty much anything, but I could also put it back on. Like you've probably heard, I was in Weight Watchers before I was 13. Slimming World, I'd learned that you can over-exercise, so you can eat a Mars bar every day, because a Mars bar was more important to me than anything else. So food ruled me and shackled me and pleased me from a really early age. There was nothing I did in life that didn't then get solved or celebrated with food. If I was happy, if I was anxious, if I was nervous, if I was sad, food. And looking back, it also started to isolate me really early on. You can't be this weight when you're little, and I was bigger than that. I just don't have the photos. And not be bullied at school for your weight. My earliest memories of school, and some of my earliest memories, are people taking the mickey out of me for my size. That bears scars. My first relationship around about university, I think it was shortly after this photo, I'd had another massive weight loss, and a 7-year relationship ended with my partner pushing his hand against my chest in the bed, saying, "Have you ever thought your weight had something to do with it?" These things scar you, and the insanity of this disease, that it just led me to eat more. It didn't. Oh, did someone just take control of my screen? Oops. Has that stopped sharing? Oh, I'll carry on. I don't know what's happened. So I got a message saying, "Can you take control of my screen?" Oh, never mind. I'll come back to it. That's thrown me. Yeah, I will find the presentation because it's closed it for some reason. That scars you, but I still kept on going back to the food. In a roundabout, let me try and open it because it's thrown me a little bit. Sorry, 2 seconds. There we go. Okay. So around about university was my last biggest weight loss, and I halved myself. I went from about 150 to 73 kilos, if you can see that. But I wasn't happy. I've got no life in my eyes at all. But I was slim, but that didn't really help me. I very quickly went back up. I think that's a bomber that's taken over the screen.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, sorry. Do you want me to pause?
Yeah, just pause a second
Yeah.
because
They need help, clearly. I wish you well.
You might want to stop sharing, Tom. Just for a
Yeah.
moment.
I don't think am I not? Yeah. There we go. Okay. It was Lottie Knowles that was asking to take control, just so you know. Sorry.
oh, thank you. Okay.
I'll carry on. But my weight went straight back up. I thought I'd won at life at that point. I'd started to wear the clothes I could wear. I was getting boyfriends, attention, life was going well. But all I'd done is fix my physical problem. I hadn't fixed the reason behind why I sought comfort and solution in overeating. The weight gradually from that lowest point went all the way back up and more. there were periods that I could control what I ate and lose a little bit of weight. And then the classic story, I went back up plus about 20 pounds, if not more. And as that yo-yoing and just going up and up and up and up went up, my life started to change and relationships got more difficult. I started to, as I said, isolate. I didn't go out because I couldn't wear what I wanted. I couldn't dance the way I wanted to dance. I couldn't go swimming. I couldn't go on holidays because I didn't want to wear swimming costumes. I didn't want to bare my legs. So I naturally isolated, and food became my best friend. It was, I even remember ahead of a binge, I'd get that excitement. Yes, yes, yes. Like you would if you were seeing a long lost best friend from school. I would have that revving up before I would surround myself with my best friends. But they all stabbed the knife in as a double-edged sword. They comforted me for the first mouthful, but then very much I paid the price afterwards. And then the phrase from the big book, which is comes to mind. When I am disturbed, it is a person I find, some person, place, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity till I accept that person, place, thing, or situation. And I very much, sorry, it's the wrong quote. I've been thrown by it earlier. I felt that if everyone in my life would act differently or do things differently, that I would be okay. I started to realise that my relationships at work were falling apart. I was falling out with colleagues. They weren't treating me the way I wanted to be treated. They weren't doing the things I wanted them to do. Work would be better if other people would change the way they were. And that was also with my family. I remember the worst case and one of my lowest moments. My dad had just come out of hospital and he hadn't treated me the way I wanted to be treated. And I shouted at him that I wish he'd died in hospital. I didn't mean that. And I love my father absolutely dearly, but that was my disease talking. My friends I'd fallen out with, lifelong friends, 10, 20 years, everyone wasn't doing things the way I wanted them to do things. My sister and I live 10, 15 minutes away, and I wouldn't see her for years at a time. We wouldn't go to each other's houses. She said that she couldn't bear to be with me because all I did was attack her. Whilst I was thinking that I was being wronged and harmed, however I communicated that was on the attack. So I really was alone. And it was actually a random event at a colleague's house where I was being nosy and looking at some books on his coffee table. And I came across a daily reader. I didn't ask if I could read the book because that was me. I just took things. And he said, no, don't open that, don't open that. And I started to read some of the quotes, completely missed the bit about alcohol, but thought, well, this is really cute. What is it? And he said, oh, it's from AA. And I said, people who aren't in the UK, AA is a car breakdown service. And I said, well, I'm a member of AA. They didn't give me. It's not fair. It's not fair that I don't get this little book and you do. You know, there's the addict in me just in that moment. And he said, no, Tali, AA. I said, yes, AA, I've got the yellow card. That's all they give me and take money from me. They don't give me books. And they said, no, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I said, but you don't. And the kind of penny dropped then. Listening to how he related to alcohol, I identified in immediately. And for the next 6 months, he tried to get me to speak to a fellow who is in both fellowships. But when he sat down with me and kind of was my Ebby, took me to my first online meeting, I heard the Serenity Prayer and slammed the laptop shut and thought there was no way this voodoo magic, you know, I scoffed at him, like the big book says, you know, Bill's letter, you may be here to scoff, but I hope you stay to pray. I scoffed at him and I said, come on, you know, we're doctors. What is this higher power BS, how is that going to help me? I just need the right diet. I need the willpower. I just need to be better. People need to not annoy me, and then I will lose weight. 6 months later, I seriously questioned my stability to do my job. I didn't want to be here. Life had got so intolerable. You know, my step one, I don't forget it. I wished that my parents didn't love me. I wanted to believe that no one loved me, because then I could have an out, because then it wasn't selfish if I ended things. And I say that unashamedly, I don't hide it, because the big book throughout it talks about suicidal ideation. And yes, you can say in alcohol and drugs, you might get to that point sooner, but you can get to this point here. And I definitely did. And it was that brought me here, the gift of desperation. I had nothing left. I had absolutely nothing in me, I had no fight left. I couldn't turn over in bed at night without being breathless. I couldn't put my socks on properly. I had to shower and get dressed in stages because I couldn't breathe, because I was 160 something kilos, whatever the top weight it was. That's the physical problem. And I've described a little bit of the knock-on effects in my life, which was what brought me here. So when I first went to the first meeting and had all these little squares, everyone looked happy and healthy, and they had lights in their eyes and they seemed present. And I thought, this is a COVID scam. Someone's going to ask money from me. And then the seventh tradition came up, and I was like, see, they're going to get money from me. It's another thing. It's another, I don't know what, green tea tablet I'd bought on the internet to lose weight. But they knew something. They knew everything I'd done with food and more. Some people worse, some people less. But they'd done all the sneaking, hiding, telling of lies, isolating, self-berating, everything, but they looked happy. And then they tell me that there is a solution. And that, I remember, you know, the welcome home speech, I was in floods of tears, because I never believed that someone could understand me, understand the crazy stuff that goes on in my head, and then instantly offer me love and time and compassion. That was just something I'd never dreamed of. And it kept me coming, and it's kept me coming every single day. And I couldn't believe in a higher power. I didn't understand what that meant. You know, surrender, believe in a higher power. I didn't understand it. I still don't know if I understand it, to be honest with you. But I was willing to. You know, if you told me to, I don't know, dress like a chicken and cluck like a duck, cluck, yeah, I would have done. I would have done anything to get what these people had, which seemed to be a freedom from the prison that I just described. So I did. I knuckled down. I got a food plan. I very quickly got abstinent. It was very clear to me what was abstinent, what wasn't. And that's something that I've really held important, especially with food. You know, I need to know in black and white when I'm being abstinent and when I'm not, because my disease will sneak in really quickly and tell me it's okay to do something that's not. And if I don't know it and I'm not willing to know what is abstinent or not, God can't help me really there. And I lost weight. I lost a lot of weight. I lost 70 kilos in the first year, I think. Dropped from a 26 down to a 16, 14 UK size. And started sponsoring other people. And then I kind of paused. I thought I'd recovered. I'd done it. I didn't really have to carry on doing so much work. I just needed to get other people through. I really needed my sponsees to get through to step 12. That was the only important thing. And then sponsoring kind of became my higher power, and my result became my higher power. But I'd forgot to live in 10, 11, and 12. I wasn't really doing step 10s at all. And very, no shit, Sherlock, I ended up in relapse. And it was when I was surrounded by shed loads of my binge food that I couldn't physically keep down. I couldn't get it in physically. I couldn't eat what I wanted to eat, that I rang my sponsor and I said, it's not working. And she said, what do you mean it's not working? And I said, well, I can't eat what I want to eat. It doesn't fit in and it's not helping me. It's not making me feel good. Surrounded literally almost 360 with binge food. She said, well, shall we throw it away? I said, no, I want to eat it. I want it to stay down and I want it to make me feel better. I did throw it away, and I did change sponsor, and reluctantly, with with patience, tolerance, and love, I saw that I had stopped being God reliant completely. I had blocked God out of my life entirely again, actually, and was completely self-seeking in what my sponsees were achieving or not achieving. And I was letting that define me, as opposed to, trying to follow God's will in life. And all of those things that brought me to OA again were happening. So relationships were still difficult, were becoming more difficult. And that position, having had some recovery and the relief of food in that first year, was incredible. It's almost like a drug in itself, that sudden relief of not being shackled to food, but then being stuck in relapse and not knowing how to connect to my higher power was more scary than day zero in OA. Because I thought, this is it. I am that case that Bill describes in the big book, permanently incapable of being truthful and therefore cannot recover, because I was still looking for ways to cheat this, to eat what I want to eat, don't do the work and recover. And that was harder and it was scarier. And I saw that I was being immensely selfish in terms of thinking that I was super special, that I was different to you guys, that if I just did the simple steps, I would recover. I literally thought I kind of gave myself the excuse to give up, because I thought I couldn't recover, therefore there's no point, I might as well eat. And then I did the steps again, and this time really focused more on understanding what it meant to surrender, what it meant to give up control and follow the flow of life. I don't think I got that at the beginning. I still think I'm trying to understand it more now. And I did understand that my basic problem isn't food, that my basic problem is managing life and the input of life and how it makes me feel. And I don't like feeling. I don't like feeling happy, sad, anxious, whatever it is, I don't like it. And I feel a lot. I think I feel more than a normal person does. And it makes me feel really uncomfortable. And what I've been doing for 40 years is eating on that. So I learned to have a conversation with my higher power, something that I hadn't done at the beginning because it made me feel silly. I thought it was silly to talk to something that I can't see, that doesn't necessarily talk back hearing wise. I thought that I could usually logic my way out of everything, that my education, my knowledge, my background, I can think my way through anything. And that people 100% acted because I did or because I didn't. That if I smiled and they would smile, then that was okay. That I could affect everyone. And it was more the emotional sobriety work that I'm doing, and the food is kind of just takes a back seat. I don't really think about the food as much. But I'm trying to apply the steps now to not be affected by people, places, and things. which is really hard because my self-will still thinks that people are treating me well because I'm likable or because I've been nice, or people are horrible to me because I'm allowing them to be horrible to me, rather than they are just, I'm not in control. I'm really not in control with how they are, how they aren't. And all I can do is control how I react to them and how I let it define me. Even ahead of today, I came on and I said, oh, I've had 6 hours sleep in 2 days. I've not planned this. I don't know what's going to go on. I didn't even think about the bomber. And yeah, it swayed me. And I'm just letting go because it doesn't matter. I'm probably here rambling, but maybe there's something in that ramble. I don't know. But the old me would be completely self-deprecating, would come away from this destroying myself about it, be embarrassed and eat. Ultimately, it would always drive me to eat. And now I'm learning that the flow of life, I'm not in control. And I can fight against it. I can paddle upstream as hard as I want. And still the river's going to flow in the direction the river wants to flow. If I just get in a dinghy and kind of go along, it might just be a bit more enjoyable because the stream's going to take me where I'm supposed to go anyway. And apologies, I am jumping all over the place. And I hit recovery again, and my practice of reaching out to my higher power really got knuckled down. My sponsor that got me out of relapse said to me, open my eyes first thing towards my God. First thought, and I thought, that's crazy. The first thing I need to do is pee. I'm not going to think about God. I need to pee first of all. But I do, and it's like an exercise, spiritual fitness. It's something I practice and it gets stronger. A marathon runner doesn't stay at their elite running fitness without practice. And I do that every day, sometimes better than not. And it's really obvious when I've slacked off my training because my head gets really noisy much quicker. And when there's so much conversation going on between these two ears that's not calm, I know that's my self-will. I really struggled initially to know what was God's words or God's direction or the flow of life or what was me. And just by constantly asking and listening, I'm getting better. So my ability to recognize what is God's will is becoming clearer. And it's usually just when there's no question afterwards, that it's easy. It flows down the river. When but it could be this, but it could be that, or if I did that, this would happen, but then that person's going to do this. That's all me. And now I try not to block that out. I let it flow. I let my sick thinking come and go until I hear something, until something comes to my conscious that doesn't sound messy, that there's no other comment. And that's, for me, God's will. And that's how I start in the meditation in the morning, by asking a question. First, I start with my set-aside prayer, and then I ask a question, and I let everything flow. What I used to do is block out myself. So block my feelings, try and not feel my feelings, try and not think my thoughts, and they'd just be pushed down all the time. Now I try to be brave and let them come out. And I'll just take a hiatus. Earlier this year, I had a real trauma at work. My biggest fear happened at work, life, and it really derailed me. I have started to seek outside help, and it's come clear to me that I've developed an anxiety-related thing to it. Left untreated, fine, call it PTSD, whatever it is. And that really challenged me this year, really challenged me. And a number of times I called my sponsor and I was like, I can't feel God. I can't hear God. All I can feel is my fear, absolute petrified anxiety. And then I started stuffing it down with step 10s. Just do all these superficial step 10s and yeah, just do what God wants, it's fine. And then every week or so, it'd bubble up like a pressure cooker and I'd ring my sponsor in floods of tears. And then it'd be like, okay, push it back down, push it back down. Until the last time my sponsor said to me, Tali, I think you just need to feel. I was like, hang on a second, I don't like feeling. I don't do feeling. Feelings for me equals food. And she said, I want you to sit with your higher power and feel. That was petrifying. And I sat and I sobbed my heart out for about 20, 30 minutes. I cried so hard, I thought I wasn't going to stop. And then I stopped. And I thought, wasn't that scary, actually? You know, feelings aren't going to kill me. It's what I do with them. I, for 40 years, have not managed feeling. That's my problem. That's my basic problem. And now, through this, you know, they say pain is an opportunity to grow. Why did this year happen to me? Why, when I just hit recovery and life was good, did I need to be walloped, you know, sideways? To realise that I can feel now. I can feel all sorts of feelings and I don't need to then injure myself. What I can't do is stop life going left or right, trauma happening, nice things happening. I can't make you like me. I can't make my neighbour like me, not throw leaves over. No one's heard that. You know, I can't stop my patient dying. I can't stop the surgeon being a name I won't give. And I can see it's my time up. But what I can do is be brave to sit here with my body group share and say, I'm not scared to feel anymore. And that I am so grateful that I've kept coming, that even when I thought I was unrecoverable, that each little square, and many of you here have at some point picked up the phone to me and said, there is recovery. There is recovery. And life can be better. Life can feel better. And I love saying that because it makes me say that I'm not scared to feel anymore. And yeah, really grateful. And this is work in progress. I've got so far to go. I'm not at the finish line. And I said that I would be here raw, honest, unprepped, unprepared. So I'm really sorry if it didn't make sense. Is it safe? Can I just show you 2 more photos? Is that okay? Is that all right? Just because I wanted to, because I think it shows, oh, I can't share. Oh, yes, I can. So this was me in 2019. And it's not altered, that's me. And it gets worse. My best friend got married and I wanted to be happy for her. But looking at me there, I wasn't present. I absolutely was not present. I was so big, so insecure. I wasn't there at all in person. I actually hated her for the size she was, the wedding she was having. I was so jealous. And actually, when my next best friend got married the following year and I had a role in the wedding party, I pulled out the day before. I couldn't be present at my best friend's wedding. That was one of my earliest step 9s. And this is me now. Oh, hang on a sec. It's not. This is me now. Walking my dog. It's what I love to do. It's how I connect with my higher power, is getting out. It's the easiest way for me to connect. And I put this photo because I don't know if you can see the skin on my arm. I don't hide. I don't care. It's a scar. I have loads of skin. And this is my God with fur on, my dog, spelled backwards. That's it.
So much, Tali. That was wonderful. I'm so sorry you had all those distractions and interruptions.
It was good.
I was like trying to like, where's the button? And then my puppy stole a puzzle piece and I had to chase him around the room to get it back. Okay, so where are we? Okay, we will now open the Q&A section of our meeting, which will also be recorded. Please post your questions only in the chat function to me. So just send them directly to me and we'll ask a question on your behalf. So let me open up my window again so I can see the chat. Here we go. Let me see. Okay, so feel free to type a message in the chat and I will read it out for you. A question in the chat, I mean. Okay, I'm going to quickly ask one because I want to know the answer to this. I feel like the way you kept your composure throughout all that, all those distractions, you just kept going with grace. To me, that looks like a sign of recovery and something that maybe wasn't possible before. So can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess I just can't control it, can I? And maybe it just distracted from my unpreparedness, and that's how it was supposed to be. Or it was an opportunity to show that I don't get defined by other people's actions. I try not to. My instinct, and I'm not here to fool you and anyone that picks up the phone to me, my self-seeking is my biggest characteristic defect. And my knee-jerk reaction is always to make it about me. And it's uncomfortable. And I've now recognized when I feel uncomfortable. Before I didn't know that because I was just comatose. I was constantly comatose. I didn't know anything about feeling because from sun up to sundown, I was eating. There was no relief for me. So now I recognize when and the big book tells us when we become irritable, discontented. I'm not failing at recovery when I become irritable, discontented, angry, sad, jealous, whatever. But what do I do about it? So yeah, I didn't like the swastika. Didn't hurt me. I genuinely wish them well. I can't change them. They're sick. They need help like I need help. Yeah. When I try to micromanage, which earlier this year I did, when my colleagues weren't doing things the way I would do them, because I'm better, I got into more trouble. And the moment I did this, and today I got a present. This week I've had a few presents from my higher power. And I got a message on something that I was really fearful of to prove it all has gone in my favour. And I do think it's the moment, it's not a coincidence that it's not long after that moment where I sat and sobbed and really surrendered everything I was feeling, that has happened. Because that was surrender. When I sat with no distractions and allowed myself to feel, that for me is surrender. I'm not very good with words, but that's the definition for me of what it means to surrender. So the little scribbles doesn't do anything to me. Yeah.
Thank you, Tali. Okay, next question is, thank you for your great share. When you are tired and time pressed, how do you connect with your higher power in the mornings and throughout the day?
So I heard people say this and I was jealous because I thought I couldn't do it. but I need it, like, because I don't like feeling uncomfortable. And I know the day that I haven't done it, I start the day with anxiety. I learnt for the first time, I think it was 5 years ago, that I'm anxious. I would have told you I was cool as a cucumber, because that's what I do for my job. We're called as swans, you know, peaceful on top of the water, under the water doing this. So anxiety just wasn't something that went with Tali. And I've lost myself now. Time management. Yes. So when I don't do it, I feel it now, and then I pause. So whereas at the beginning, it was almost like setting an alarm, and it, you know, if I rang my sponsor with a problem, and the response often was, have you prayed on it? Have you taken it to your higher power? And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I haven't thought of that one before. You know, amazing how many times I forget that that's where my answers are. My sponsor doesn't tell me, doesn't solve my problems, doesn't give me direct advice, and like a broken record tells me to go to my higher power. So somehow it gets in under my skin, and I wake up most mornings now, and I've started recently again sending a gratitude list. I was doing it, and then I stopped recently when I changed sponsor, and I don't know why I stopped. And now I do send it. So I send a gratitude list every morning, and I send my step 11 at night, and I'm on the 10th step train. So even if I forget to turn to my higher power, I think they're like safety nets. No one's chasing me, but life gets more comfortable when I do that, and I seek comfort. Yeah.
All right, thank you. This next question is similar. I'm going to read it anyways. Can you ask the speaker, how does she get or stay connected to her higher power? So I guess kind of covered that, but if there's anything else you want to share about that.
The something my sponsor and I came up with. I have to wash my hands a lot at work. And now when I wash my hands or put alcohol gel, it's a physical reminder for me to invite God in. So every time I wash my hands, I'm like, God, be with me. You know, it's usually before I'm about to perform a task that in the past, I'd be like, Tully, don't miss it, don't miss it, don't F it up, don't F it up, don't F it up. You know what? You F it up. So now I'm like, God, help me. Just be with me. And I'm quite pictorial, so sometimes I think of just something nice, my dog being on my shoulder. I also have, when I first took my step 3, actually, I had this real visual kind of, I don't know what you call it, meditation maybe, or thought, that God for me is energy. It's light. And if I close my eyes and I'm really seeking, if I'm really lost in myself, then I try to imagine that kind of energy coming down on me and bathing me in warmth. It's just to comfort me, really. Sounds really cheesy. And I can promise you, when my Ebby told me about higher power, the thought of these words coming out of me, you know, vomit inducing. But I thought that the light coming onto me, cloaking me, and then all I have to do is let it shine out. And I need to image that. And that's something that came to me during my first time I did a step 3. And that also comforts me, but it's not always. Yeah, I don't always go there. It's more the hands now, washing, it's an invitation to hear, to feel, to let go. And it's really just letting go of that, Tully, you can't do this, you're not good enough, or they're going to laugh at you, or if you're going to not do this, and then everyone's going to know that you're rubbish, and push that aside and invite something else in.
Thank you. Okay, next question. What did you do differently to regain your connection with your higher power to recover this time around?
Accepted that this isn't going to happen to me without me. That if I want a relationship, I need to start putting in I need to do the effort. This isn't a lay down, put your arm out, get a drip, get recovery injected into you. I need to do something. If I want to hear my higher power, I need to talk. I need to listen. And also the St. Francis prayer, that even if I don't talk to God, if I give him my shoulder, he's still there. If I muck up, she, I'm not sexist, but God is still there. I choose. Being a human being, I have the choice. I can try and listen, I can try and go with that flow, or I cannot. And I think it's again the surrender, the realization that I can't do this. I can't dictate how life goes. I couldn't even put a nativity play on, probably, let alone a real life play. I can only change my response. And I think the work, and I'm going to plug it, Herb Kay and Alan Berger have really helped me. Herb's, and I urge anyone to listen to, he's done lots of 11th step kind of YouTube things that really dramatically changed my meditation. I don't think I knew how to meditate. I thought meditate was to have silence, to have complete nothingness, whilst he spoke about meditation being intentional contact, intentional consciousness, sorry. So it's like I said, I say the set aside prayer in my head, not necessarily out loud, and then I ask an unanswered question. God, how is today gonna go? And then I'm silent. No music, no inset timer, no directed thinking, nothing. I close my eyes and I listen. And initially, it's all of my thinking. It's like, Tali, you need to get to work on time because you've got a horrible day ahead of you and that person's going to annoy you. And I let it go. I let it come. I don't block my thoughts out. And then when that's exhausted, the little voice comes that tells me, Tali, how about just letting go of today? Just take a step forward and promise that you will pause and think about how to be helpful and kind to someone, and don't think what they can do for me, because I'm sure I'm not alone in this. People were here to serve me, to make me feel good, to make me feel liked. That was the only reason people existed in life beforehand. And I still can go there. But that's how I've forgotten the question. That's my tiredness. Yeah. Sorry, I'll stop.
How you did things differently this time. Okay, we have time for one more question. Does anyone else have a question they want to send in the chat? Oh, okay. Amazing share, Tali. What is your favorite big book quote?
Oh, there's so many, but I think right now it's, you may come to scoff, but I hope you stay to pray. That's just comes, and I constantly come back to when you feel restless, irritable and discontented. Because my biggest self-seeking, selfish thought is that I'm not really recovered, that I'm fake. because I feel. So that reminds me that the big book tells me I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Wonderful. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Last down. Okay, so I'll move on with the script. Right. Q&A has now come to a close. Thank you so much to our guest speaker, Tali, for your service, time, and energy. We will now open the chat to share our numbers for outreach. For those who would like to, please share your name and numbers. Please could all available abstinent sponsors indicate if you are available to sponsor. For any newcomers, we have a newcomers hub where newcomer greeters. Brona, I saw you were here, so we'll be very happy to have a more informal chat and or answer any questions. To any newcomers who would like to stay behind at the end of the meeting to ask questions, please raise your hand electronically now, and we will invite you to a breakout room on Zoom where Brona will meet with you. So we will close the meeting in the same way we always close a New Freedom Big Book study by reading the 12 promises of recovery as laid out in the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. At the bottom of page 83, starting with the paragraph, if we are painstaking, and ending with, if we work for them. Tali, could you please read the promises for us? Thank you.
Will they come up on the screen? Yeah.
Yeah.
If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we'll be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realise that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialise if we work for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for joining us today. Our meetings are recurring on a weekly basis, and our next meeting is scheduled for next week, which I can't think of what the date of June 19th at 7:30. May your higher power bless you and keep you until then.